We did one surgery on a veteran. He had lost a leg and an eye. Dr. Phil heard about us, so they called me and said, do you think R.A.W would be able to help him? And I said, absolutely, that's why we were founded. So here's this 20-year-old with this really scary eye, and he knew it. And so I was able to tell him that R.A.W was going to very proudly provide him with a new prosthetic eye and reconstructive surgery on his eyelid. My name is Maggie Lockridge, and I served back in the Vietnam era in the United States Air Force Nurse Corps. And at present, I am the founder and the CEO of R.A.W, Rebuilding America's Warriors. And our mission is to prevent the wounds of war from permanently disfiguring young lives.
Tell us how you got involved in the Air Force Nurse Corps and a little bit about your experience there.
I wanted to be the first female general in the United States Air Force Nurse Corps.
Wow.
You didn't expect that, did you?
No.
I wanted to go to Vietnam. I wanted to do air vac. But I found out after I had been sworn in that you had to spend a year stateside. And so they stationed me at Grand Forks, North Dakota. There were 136 women and 6,000 men, which wasn't bad. And loved the nursing aspect of it. I loved the discipline. I loved the rank. I loved saluting. I loved the responsibility that they gave me. And fortunately or unfortunately, fell in love with an Air Force fighter pilot. And we were married in about 3 months' time. And I became pregnant and did not realize back then you could not be pregnant and still be in the Air Force. So I hid it until I was about 7.5 months along. And my commanding officer called me in and said, Lieutenant Lockridge, do you have something to tell me? And I was out that day. And I was so upset about that. And my career was done at that point, my Air Force career. Unfortunately, the marriage hit the skids, and that was when I moved to LA and started a recovery care facility for people who came from all over the world. I didn't realize that Los Angeles is the cosmetic surgery center of the world, with more procedures being done there than anywhere else. And I thought I would really love to do this type of nursing. So I was hired immediately. I was a charge nurse on 3 to 11 for about a year or two when they asked me to be the administrator. And then unfortunately that business closed because the owner of it was in bankruptcy. And I thought, I'll open my own. So I did. It was called Chantique, and it became extremely successful. I was in that business for 18 years. You never knew who you were going to find visiting or as a patient, and that made it a lot of fun. People would come from all over the world to have plastic surgery by the surgeons to the stars. They wanted to hide and heal privately, and so they would check in with us for maybe anywhere from 1 to 10 days, depending on how long they wanted to hide and heal.
And what were your facilities like?
We always went to a 4-star hotel, 5-star hotel, and leased a private wing. I had a whole floor. We had the elevator geared privately to our floor, and we had 3 town cars that would take the patients from our facility to their appointments and pick them up after surgery. It got quite grand scale. One day in 2005, 2 women walked in and literally said to me, "We want to buy your business." And I thought, 18 years of 24/7, maybe I'll think about this. I threw out a number and they said fine, and I was out of a job in a month.
And how did you start R.A.W? When did that journey start?
In February of 2007, Bob Woodruff had a special on TV. Bob Woodruff, I believe, was the ABC journalist who was riding into Baghdad, standing up through the turret of a tank when it was hit by an IED. And he received a really traumatic brain injury, or TBI. About a year into his recuperation, he wanted the people to know exactly what it was like, having the military connection I had and always having this wonderfully warm, happy feeling towards my military days. I watched it that night, and he took us into VA hospitals. I was able to see the various types of wounds. It was also the time if you remember that the media was saying that Walter Reed was not equipped to handle as many wounded that were coming back. And I thought, you know what? If they're not able or equipped to handle all the structural and functional wounds, they're certainly not doing the aesthetic. And I thought, oh my gosh, I know all of these surgeons in Beverly Hills. Let me take care of the aesthetic. Men are vain too, and these are young boys mostly,